Welcome to Ric Drasin Live. Here we are again on Friday on a beautiful sunny day in Los Angeles, California. What could you ask for? We've had one whole year of summer, not even a winter. I mean, I think we had one day of rain possibly, but that's about it. Well, we're here to talk about fitness, nutrition, wellness, bodybuilding, things you do to build your body, to burn body fat, to stay in shape. And my guest today is a friend of mine. His name is Jay Bedar. He's from Ohio. He moved out here, how long ago?
Lived here from 2008 to 2011 and then just moved back in September.
Okay, so he escaped from Ohio.
That's right.
He got under the radar, under the barbed wire, came to live out here, and we trained down at Gold's Gym in North Hollywood. He's won some contests, NPC Collegiate National Bodybuilding Contest and other contests as a bodybuilder. But he also has a lot of knowledge about nutrition. His wife Dana trains here with her. She's competing as well. And did you some chiropractic stuff as well?
Yeah, I was actually in chiropractic school for 2 years.
Okay. Did you learn a lot?
I did. The first half of chiropractic school was all the basic sciences, so biochemistry, anatomy, physiology. So I actually have a really extensive background in the scientific base of all that stuff now as well.
So you can utilize that when it comes to working your body?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's actually been very beneficial to have that.
Why didn't you want to finish the school?
My wife is a chiropractor.
Okay.
She
went through the whole thing?
Yeah, she completed chiropractic school. She's a licensed chiropractor.
Okay.
So she finished, she got into practicing, and I was in the middle of chiropractic school, and we both kind of came to the realization at the same time that we just didn't want to do chiropractic. You know, it's a great profession, you know, the whole healthcare field just wasn't for us. We felt like we needed a little more excitement.
Yeah, this is very common. People go away to college. I have friends who go to college and they took some course to become something, and then all of a sudden they get out of college and they don't want to do it.
Right.
And a few of those guys way back in time went back to my hometown and started selling cars.
Right.
They don't want to use their college degree. I've had friends who are lawyers who don't like doing law.
Right.
You know, once you get through it all, it looks glamorous, it looks great, this is what you really want to do, and then you all of a sudden don't want to do it. Although the knowledge that you gain from it,
right,
you can use somewhere else.
Oh, of course. There's a rhyme and a reason for everything in life, I feel.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want to veer off the subject too much, but I want to stand this for 1 second because I started thinking about chiropractic. I go to chiropractor before I go to a doctor. If I have an issue with my arm or my shoulder or my knee or something, I'll go see if I can work it out with him before I go and get some sort of medication, drug to mask it. All right? Isn't it better?
Depends on the issue.
Yeah.
For certain things, they can be more beneficial. Other things, you would absolutely need to see a medical doctor first.
Right.
It really just depends on the issue. You know, it's not to say either one is better.
Well,
it's
say my back's out.
Sure.
My L5,
Right.
L4. If I get an adjustment and ice it, by the next day I'm pretty good.
Right.
If you go to a doctor, he's going to give you a pain pill.
Sure.
And it doesn't really solve the problem.
Right. So that'd be a situation where it would be more beneficial.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So a little bit of both. You just have to juggle, see what's going to work out for you.
Exactly.
All right. Now, what was your first introduction to weightlifting and bodybuilding? What got you in and started in that?
I've been around it as long as I can remember. My dad had always had a weight set in the basement. So I'd be 4 or 5 years old, sitting in the basement watching my dad work out, and I thought it was the coolest thing. My dad still has them hanging up in his weight room of drawings of muscle men that I was drawing when I was 5 years old.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so you know, my dad did it. He loved the weights. He was a football coach at local high schools in the area, and he set up the first weight room at a little school called East Canton High School. So he was always involved with weights. So it kind of runs in my blood. And then my sister married my brother-in-law, who is a world champion powerlifter. And
it's in the family.
Yeah, so he's the one that got me into, I call it the whole iron world. He started me into powerlifting to help me train for football. And, you know, he always had flex and muscular development and Ironman laying around, so I always read them and fell in love with bodybuilding.
You know, it's funny because I still have magazines that somebody gave me when I was in the Army. And it's all the old Strength and Health and Ironmans from 1941.
Wow.
They're in my garage, and I look back at those guys, and it was a different breed of bodybuilder back then.
Sure.
They were all black and white photos, but
Right.
but they were very inspiring.
Absolutely.
You know, you look at that and you think, okay, you know, Joe Weider says, pack on 20 pounds of muscle in 2 months. Okay, how do I pack on 20 pounds of muscle? I go down and buy a bunch of ground beef and slap it on my arms and calves.
Right.
You know? But it made you believe that you could do it.
Sure.
And then the supplements weren't that big back then. They had a couple of things like Bob Hoffman protein.
Okay.
Now, I'm going way back before your time. Bob Hoffman was the rival to Joe Weider.
Gotcha.
And he was more into lifting, and he didn't like bodybuilding, but he made a protein, and it was spelled Protein.
Okay.
So which kind of misled me to say, well, it's not really protein, it's protein.
Right.
What does that mean? and you would take it and it'd be like chalk. You know, I mean, it's just horrible stuff. And then they had protein pills. They had chocolate and vanilla. I was working out at some Olympic gym in Bakersfield, and the trainer there was an instructor. He gives me, chew these pills all day long. Well, they're like malted milk, and you're chewing them, and they're just growing in your mouth, and you think, does this really work? You know, but you know, back in those days, you try anything to build your body.
Of course.
And that's all they had. That and Energol, which was a wheat germ oil.
Okay.
And vitamin E, and pretty much that was it.
Right.
But it's evolved quite a bit since then.
Enormously.
So when you started training, I mean, did you start with powerlifting?
Yeah, that was where I built my base. You know, I was training for football.
Yeah.
So we incorporated all the power moves into that.
Right.
And you know, naturally we just started competing.
Right.
You know, as a result of that. And just genetically, I built strength very quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I started.
I think it's a good foundation for training.
Oh, I definitely think so.
Did you know anything about nutrition at the time?
No.
Yeah, most people don't.
I mean, no, nothing.
Mine was spaghetti and meatballs and a quart of milk.
Hey, mine was whatever my mom made for dinner that night. That's what I was eating.
Exactly. And I didn't really know, so I took the protein supplements, you know.
Right.
And some of them are constipating. And then I'd drink like 3 quarts of milk a day.
Right.
And my mom was complaining about the milk bill all the time.
Of course.
You drink way too much milk. We'd go out for Mexican food, and I get 2 enchiladas, rice and beans, go home right away and drink a quart of milk.
Right.
My stomach was like, doesn't know what I'm doing to it. I'm driving it nuts.
Right.
But I got to have that protein from the milk in there. In fact, I'd buy powdered milk, add the powdered milk to the milk, and have more milk.
Hey, you getting a ton of protein now?
It was like a dairy farm going on in here. So you didn't know, but when you move on in time and you change your diets, you see different results.
Sure.
So when you did that, when did you first see your first results? What from doing what?
Really, the first time that I really paid attention to the diet was when I was getting ready for my very first show, which was in 2006, the Teen Nationals. And that's when I really noticed that manipulating the macronutrients can make a big difference.
Tell me about macronutrients. What are they?
Oh, so just your protein, carbs, and fat.
Okay, that's really what it's called.
And water. Those are the 4 macronutrients. But yeah, that was the first time that I actually had ever paid attention. Before it was just, you know, going through high school, I knew that I needed to increase my protein. You know, my brother gave me what bit of knowledge he had, so I started taking protein shakes. You know, but other than that, it was really just about, you know, making sure that I was eating enough meats and stuff like that, and then I ate whatever else I wanted. Going into that first show is when I really narrowed it down that I was only going to eat these 5 foods, you know, of course, the eggs, rice, chicken, tuna, and lean beef, you know. That was it, you know. So it was like, that was the first time that I really narrowed it down. Vince,
can you run a couple of pictures of Jay when he was competing? I gave you a few in there. There's one picture you have of doing, there's one. What was that for?
That was 2012. That was my last show, the Europa in Dallas. That's actually, I won the overall in the super heavyweight.
Right.
There.
There's another one. What did you weigh there?
Right there, I was about 230. That was right. Oh, actually, I competed at the North Americans right after the Europa, so that was the day after the North Americans.
All right. There's another one with a pullover. That one there. That's my favorite shot with the dumbbells.
Yeah, it came out great. Greg James was the photographer for that. He did an awesome job.
That's my favorite shot. I mean, your waist compared to your lats and your shoulders is perfect.
Right. Yeah, I got lucky. I mean, when I cut down, my waist is like 29.5 when I'm on show or on stage. So
still.
Yeah. I mean, I got lucky with genetics. You know. I mean, thanks, Mom and Dad.
Do you think that's it, or do you think it's diet?
Well, it's definitely diet, but I mean, I'm talking more about hip structure. You know what I mean? Because if some people naturally have wider pelvis, and there's nothing you can do with that. You can diet all you want. You're not going to change your bone structure.
That's true.
You know, so naturally I got lucky with broad shoulders and a smaller waist.
Well, my hips are small. They're smaller than my waist.
Right.
If I put a belt on my jeans and it slips, it falls down around my hips.
Okay.
So, but I don't have the same waist size I had when I was competing in bodybuilding, of course. You get older, and no matter how much you diet as you get older and you change your routine, your girth changes.
Oh, for sure.
And there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
No, absolutely.
I mean, 30, 40 years old, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, it's just going to change. And you can just do the best you can do.
Right.
You can still have abs and still have a bigger waist.
Right.
Which makes me very unhappy.
Right, exactly.
Well, what are you going to do? You know, you do it the best you can. Your training now has, since you've been out here to LA, it's been a few years now, I mean, has it changed quite a bit from when you lived in Ohio?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I still was kind of stuck in the powerlifting mentality, you know, where I needed to always push weights, and it was just more like I said, I got pretty genetically strong, so it was fun for me to continue to push weights, but I wasn't developing the muscle groups the way I needed to.
Right.
So switching over to now, my entire focus is just tension. creating tension in the muscle and keeping that lasting for a certain amount of time during the set. So
Okay.
I honestly really don't care what kind of reps I'm doing. It could be 8, it could be 25. I don't care. I just maintain a certain amount of tension for as much as I can for that weight.
For as long as it will last.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be heavy. It doesn't have to be light.
I honestly, if people watch me train in the gym, and right now it's a little bit different because I'm still coming back from my shoulder surgery last year, so my weights are less than they normally would be. But if people watch me train, I actually had a guy come up to me and goes, "Why are you only using those weights for? I mean, you can do more weight than that, can't you?" I'm like, well, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should, or it's necessarily the most efficient way to do something.
It's a very good theory. I like that a lot.
So,
because it is tension, working the muscle both ways.
Your muscles don't know if you're lifting 400 pounds or 100 pounds,
Right.
But they do know if they're under constant stress.
Right.
That's what your muscles understand is stress. So if you're putting under constant tension, you're increasing the amount of stress that the muscles have to endure for that set. Now, increasing your weight, I do believe that training with heavier weights does help to build more density and a more solid look in the muscle,
Right.
as opposed to more roundness. But in bodybuilding, roundness is desired anyway.
That's right.
So I feel like you do need to hit some good weights every once in a while, but the main focus should just be tension.
And you don't count your reps.
Not really. I mean, I'll count them just as a force of habit.
I count to 6, and then I lose count, and I stay at 6. I've always worked well with 6 and 7 reps. Not even
Right.
8 to 10, but 7.
Sure.
Weird number. And I don't go heavy, but Dave Draper said that you could do 300-pound bench or 100-pound. It's
Right.
the same weight depending on the strain you put on yourself.
Exactly.
And it's in your head.
Yep.
And I believe that because I don't go heavy at all anymore, but I feel everything I do.
Right. Absolutely.
And I thought I got weaker, and I probably did from not using the heavy weights all the time.
Sure.
But who cares? I'm not trying to lift 1,000 pounds anymore.
Right.
You have a BA in psychology?
Yes.
Do you use it? Try to figure me out?
Every day. Every day.
Every day you go to the gym, you got to figure somebody out.
You know the gym.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I use, I guess, the basic principle. I'm not using my degree in terms of job or occupation or anything like that.
Yeah.
However, psychology is, it was something I was always interested in growing up. And I initially went into the field because when I was in high school and stuff, I wanted to be a criminal profiler for the FBI. That was my whole, so I went into psychology. And yeah, it was a great education. It just, I'm not really using the degree.
And now you're in real estate.
Exactly. Yep.
And you love that.
Love real estate. So much fun.
So you can psych somebody into selling and buying a house.
Well, in terms of just interpersonal relations, psychology is everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's your plans for the future?
In terms of competing?
And future in general.
Future? Well, me and my wife are working on building our real estate empire right now. Really, that's our focus right now is our careers. Bodybuilding is always going to be a part of my life, but more than anything, it's building a solid foundation and a beautiful life for us, really.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, you have to be well-rounded.
Absolutely. Well, and listen, as long as you're set financially, you can pursue other things, and bodybuilding will always be there. And I need to get our financial in order, and then I can do whatever I want with bodybuilding.
Exactly.
So.
Well, we have a tip of the week, and I always try to give somebody some good advice. And since this is about fitness and nutrition and all that, my tip is, like you did, you train, you have your love of bodybuilding, your love of training, but you got to have plan B for your income.
Right.
Don't ever put that ahead of it, and don't starve yourself when it comes to working for a job, because you have to have both. So have plan A and plan B. In case plan A fails, you go to plan B. If that fails, go to plan C.
Right.
You got to always have a backup. It's been really great having you. I really appreciate you coming down here with me.
Absolutely.
Talking about it.
Thank
and
you
got
so
a
much.
great body and a great future and a good guy, and I'm thrilled to death. And Vincent, I just want you to run my book, Bodybuilding for Dumbbells, which is on the internet right now. It's the basic training that we did back in the 70s with nutrition and bodybuilding to build your muscle like we had back in the day. It's very simple, easy to follow. It's $10 download on your computer. You can look at it. I have photos, and it has all self-instruction. And I want to thank you for watching Ric Drasin Live. We'll be here next week at 12:30 to talk more about fitness, training, wellness, and how to be a better you. Hi, I'm Ric Drasin. For tips on health and nutrition and fitness, bodybuilding, wrestling, and all the stuff you want to know, subscribe to me on emPOWERme.tv. I'm on every Friday at 12:30 p.m. I'm looking forward to meeting you. And stay healthy.